Hello everyone and welcome into PlayStation Vita video blog number 9. We are so close to double digits now, however we are still number 9. I apologize for the slight lack of videos lately. I think I've only gotten a couple up in the last week or so. I'm working on it. I've been a very busy guy recently, so yeah, I want to get more gameplay videos up for you definitely and get more consistent with the blog here. But I am still going on it. Don't worry, please keep watching. I do enjoy getting these up, so as long as you guys keep watching, I will keep making them. On the chart today, we have, of course, sales talk to start us off as usual. I will show you a cool new accessory that I picked up. Then we will talk about PlayStation Vita Game Heaven for a while, which was, I guess we could call it an event. It happened on last Friday evening here in Japan, and people were hyping it up as a conference or a program. However, we'll get to that. We'll talk about what that actually turned out to be. Yeah, I'll talk a little bit about what's coming out between now and kind of through summer, because we do have a bunch more solid dates now for a lot of different games. So, of course, this is about Japan. Talk a little bit about some programs that Sony brought up. 2 different programs. They came out at the Game Heaven, on Friday night with that announcement. So just talk a little bit about those for those of you who are interested in that. And then I will talk about, to finish off, the top 5 improvements that Sony can make to the Vita. And these are things that are actually changeable. I'm not talking about things like move the start and select button to an easier place, or not things like that. But the top 5 improvements that Sony can make, mostly to the OS or support, things like that. So we'll get to that at the end, my top 5. All right. Let's start off, as always, with sales talk. The new numbers will actually be out probably tomorrow morning, maybe late tonight. So it'll be interesting to see where they're at, because last week the Vita posted sales of 10,023 units here in Japan. So if you've been following it, it was like 15,000, 14,000, 13,000, 12,000, 11,000. And now it's 10,000, just barely, with 10,023 units sold. This would actually be 2 weeks ago in Japan, as reported last week. So these numbers were before the Game Heaven announcement. I'm not thinking Game Heaven did much to sell more units. However, we'll have to see. Sony also did some campaigns and that sort of thing that could have maybe kept it stable. Another thing I want to note is that in this week, with 10,023 units, no significant games, and maybe no games at all, even came out for the Vita. So it'll be interesting to see tonight or tomorrow morning when we find out if we've now dipped down again to 9,000, if that's the way it's going to fall, if it stabilizes around 10,000 for a little bit, thanks to some of these announcements. 10,000, again, if you're unfamiliar, it's not a good number at all. It's very low. However, it's not the end of the world. It's just not good at all. They definitely need to do something to get that up. So if it ends up stabilizing well below 10,000, then the problem will grow even bigger and bigger and bigger. Obviously, for those of you who don't really know, the big problem that comes in with this is Japanese third parties want to make their games on a system that sells. If you have 6 million 3DSs out there and 500,000 Vitas, where do you want to make your game for? The system with 6 million people playing it, or the system with 500,000 people playing it? That's where the biggest problem comes in. Obviously, there are things that the Vita does that the 3DS doesn't. There are things that the 3DS does that the Vita doesn't. To be honest, they're very different systems. However, it really does come a lot down to user base. And obviously, the 3DS's user base is much larger, so that will secure it some of those third parties. Having said that, third-party support for both handhelds so far hasn't been anything incredible, so it is still early, obviously, in this race of the handhelds. And I say race like Sony's going to win, but I never see the Vita really passing the 3DS up, just like I never saw the PSP passing the DS up. But the PSP still turned out to be a wonderful system. I still love it. So if the Vita does what the PSP did, I will be more than happy. So we'll just have to see. But it's still early in this. Obviously, the 3DS is just now over a year old, and the Vita is not very old. It's quite young, especially in the West, and still only a few months here in Japan. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see where that goes. So we'll get an update on the numbers soon. However, as of last week, the week before that, numbers were 10,023 units sold. All right. Next up, I want to show you just a cool accessory that I bought for my system. You may have seen it online, but here's my Vita now. You may notice it looks a little bit different, and you'll see this green border around here, and you can see Dusty at the bottom here. Yeah, take a look at this. When I launch the the power here. It matches quite nicely. It's a Gravity Daze wallpaper. This is done by a company called Daze, and they call these their Daze skins. Obviously, they're all licensed so that they can make these. So you'll see it fits perfectly. It does include a screen protector there, so it's protecting the screen, and it has this cool thing around. Some people aren't into these per se, but I think they're quite awesome. So I think I like this Gravity Daze one quite a bit. So yeah, you can see there. And they also provide the wallpaper that fits with it perfectly. So yeah, you can see that's pretty cool. They also do offer some other ones. As far as the Vita goes, they only have Gravity Daze and Blay Blue right now. The Blay Blue one is actually pretty sweet too, though. It's blue. Yeah, but it does look really cool. There's also kind of hints that they might offer a Persona 4 one once that comes out, because in the recent Persona 4 videos from the developer, he's had a yellow Persona 4 one on his Vita with matching wallpaper. So, and again, yeah, Daze does get official licensing for these so that they can provide the wallpapers. This one that goes all the way around here and offers the screen protector, it retailed for, I think I got it for about 1,500 yen. About what, $15 to $17, so very cool. They also do offer a bunch for the PSP, iPhones, PlayStation 3s, even PlayStation controllers. So they do have some pretty cool ones. I think their website is Deza, D-E-Z-A, dezaegg.com. Yeah, I'd recommend checking them out. I'm not sure if they ship overseas, but if they do and you guys are interested in this stuff, yeah, check it out. I think I'll probably get something going for my iPhone as well as a PSP that I have, just because I think they look really cool. Yeah, let's move right on into, kind of the meat of the program here. The PlayStation Vita Game Heaven, not conference. The Sony chief, he officially called it a program. He used the word bangumi in Japanese, which is like a TV program. However, everyone was pretty surprised when this finally came up on Friday night. We were all waiting, thinking it was going to be like Nintendo Direct, which is just like one streamed segment, like an hour-long segment. And we all hit the website, and there's a 4-minute video on there of a guy called DJ Taro, and he's just kind of this, he's kind of a B-list celebrity here in Japan, but he was basically introducing you to the conference, and then it ended. And it was like, okay, 4 minutes. And again, I use the word conference. It is not a conference. Again, they called it a bangumi, a program. It was kind of misconceived as being a conference. So, so it was a 4-minute video, and everyone's going, what's going on? Well, if you scroll down, they had each of the videos separately. So you had a video for one game, a video for a second game, a video for one feature, another video for the second feature. And in the end, there were a lot of videos. There was something, I don't even know, just off the top of my head, maybe 30 or 40 videos. And a lot of those weren't very important. There were developers talking about their downloadable content for games that are already out, like Shinobito or Ragnarok Odyssey. And I don't want to say like not important, but they weren't like, people were expecting big announcements here. As far as big announcements that we actually got here, and big being a term relative to what you think is big, but as far as announcements that were made, first and foremost is Phantasy Star Online 2. The actual game, it's a PC game now. This will actually be out on the Vita in 2013. That's all we really know right now, except for the fact that if I'm at home playing Phantasy Star Online 2 on my PC and I leave the house, I will be able to continue playing on my Vita with the same character, on the same servers, same everything. Which is a pretty integral part of this. They're integrating the PC with the Vita, the online systems, which is awesome. If they hadn't done that, it would have been kind of strange. But the fact that they are announcing right away that, hey, this is in there, it's very important. It's very cool. Me being a huge Phantasy Star Online fan and really looking forward to this game, this was pretty big news to me. I'm very excited about this. It wasn't like as big as if they had announced, Monster Hunter or Persona 5 or something. But it was pretty big. I was kind of shocked, actually. We had heard that the guy from Sega would be there, so most of us were expecting a new Phantasy Star portable title, which I still would have loved. However, this was kind of shocking. It's like, wow, Phantasy Star Online 2 on the Vita, cross-play with PC. The biggest kind of punch to the gut was, 2013. It's a long way off. It's going to be a long year here. But this is pretty cool. I'm pretty excited for that. It was not the mega bomb announcement that everyone was hoping for. It's getting bashed, I guess. Not this game in particular, but just the whole conference got pretty bashed pretty hard because people were expecting some sort of a mega bomb announcement. And this is what we got. This was the biggest one. So But yeah, I am excited for this. If you're a Phantasy Star Online fan, I'm sure you would probably be excited for this too. And I did hear that they are doing something with the 3G anyway. A lot of people ask me why I bought a 3G Vita originally. I haven't paid a dime yet for 3G service. I'm actually still using the 100 hours I got with it. But the reason being is that maybe someday I thought something would come out where I wanted to be able to use the 3G. And look, this is probably it. So if I can somehow play on my train commute over 3G, with my Phantasy Star character, that would be awesome. Now, 3G is pretty slow, as I'm sure you all know, so people are saying, well, how is this going to work? Oh, there's a couple things, I guess, that they could do. We've been brainstorming a little bit on some message boards. It could just work. The original Phantasy Star Online was playable on 56K modems, which are much slower than 3G, and it worked fine. Sometimes the characters didn't match up perfectly, but in a game like this, it is about teamwork, but it's not about, like, you know, perfectly coordinating your attacks together. So they could do that. They could also have a feature someone brought up where you get into the server, because this is an online only game, but you use 3G to connect into the server, bring your character to your Vita, and then you play and you level up your character, and then you send them back to the server using the 3G. So to kind of create a pseudo offline game. But yeah, this game, as far as we know so far, will not be offline. It's online only. Which again is something that some people, it's kind of the bane of this game to some people. However, I don't mind at all. The reason that a lot of the older Phantasy Star Online games ended up getting extremely hacked extremely quickly was because they offered that online game. You could go into your offline game, and hack it, and then take all that stuff with you into the online game and cause some havoc. So I'm fine with this. Even online you can play solo, of course, so that's great. Yeah, so no problems with that for me. So that's Phantasy Star Online 2, again coming in 2013. Two more subtle announcements. You might not even call them announcements. They had the creator of Super Robot Wars there to talk about the Vita itself. Now the thing with this is he did not come out and say we are working on a Vita game. However, with this, the writing is kind of on the wall. He came out and said we are looking at what the Vita can do, and we'll see what we can do in the future. I think the reason that he said it that way is because the Super Robot Wars game is probably pretty far off in the future, probably 2013 again. And they didn't want to just come out and say, oh yeah, we're working on it, because then people would maybe have got more excited than they should be. But it looks like something is coming from the Super Robot Wars team. The other kind of subtle one was Inafune, who used to be a Capcom member. He is one of the original creators of Mega Man, or Rockman, depending on where you live. So yeah, he's kind of a classic game developer. Been around forever. He did announce that he and his team are working on an amazing game for the PlayStation Vita. That's all that he said. So another 2013 title. Are you sensing kind of the link here between all these games so far? They're not coming out anytime soon, so that's why this isn't really going to help sales numbers right away. But yeah, so we're looking at Phantasy Star Online 2, probably 2013. Super Robot Wars, again, this is speculation, but maybe 2013. Inafune's game, I would imagine 2013. It sounds like definitely not 2012. So yeah, so those are the kind of the big announcements, and again, big is relative to what you find big. The other thing you want to realize is this conference, it's not a conference. This program, this set of videos was intended for the Japanese audience. Okay, so if you're like, oh, why didn't they show Call of Duty? Why didn't they show Assassin's Creed? Aren't these games being made? Japanese people, they care a little bit about Call of Duty, a little bit. They care a little bit about Assassin's Creed, but they're not like the mega bomb announcements like they are in the West. So that's why none of this stuff was shown, if it were to be shown. I'm not saying it will be shown anytime soon, but E3, look forward to that for more of the Western gaming announcements. Okay, so those were the three games. Gung Ho and Game Arts, the ones who made Ragnarok Odyssey, they announced briefly, very briefly, at the end of their Ragnarok Odyssey video. They had a Ragnarok Odyssey video featuring the online mode, which is still supposed to be coming out any day now. That they're working on 2 more games, both for the Vita. Very few details there, but I recommend that you go check out that Ragnarok Odyssey video. Gung Ho / Game Arts is at the very end. You can see just brief little concept art or little bits of trailer there for those. So yeah, they look pretty neat. I'm happy that they're making more games on Vita. Obviously, I enjoyed Ragnarok Odyssey. These 2 games will probably be nothing like that, but it's very nice to know that this time it's not going to be a somewhat rushed launch window kind of thing. I'm sure that you guys know how this works when games come out close to a system's release or on a system's release. there's obviously certain things that have to get cut or rushed or pushed just because the game has to get out. I felt a little bit that way with Ragnarok Odyssey, which is why I'm kind of happy that they're doing all these post-game patches. But, you know, and then after that you have that long period where you feel like you can spend more time on your games. So I'll be interested to see what they come up with. The three other, I guess, games that were shown off that we already knew about were Zero no Kiseki, Evolution. This is from Falcom, who made, if you know Trails in the Sky, it got an English release on PSP near the end of last year. The Japanese name for that is Sora no Kiseki, and that's the first chapter. So Zero no Kiseki is actually the fourth game in the Kiseki series. So you had Sora no Kiseki first, Sora no Kiseki second chapter, Sora no Kiseki the third, which make up the Sora part, and then you had Zero no Kiseki and Ao no Kiseki, which make up kind of a part as well there. So this is the fourth game, but it kind of stands on its own apart from Sora no Kiseki. It's the first game after the Sora part of the Kiseki series, if that makes any sense to you. But what they're doing with this is they're going to get a full-voiced version of this game on the Vita, which is insane. Games have been full-voiced for a long time. That's great. That might not surprise you. But this game has so much text. It has books and books and books worth of text, and they're doing it full-voiced. I think it's 156 characters in the game that they're getting full voice for. And they've been posting pictures on their Twitter recently of the scripts that they had to order for their actors and actresses. They had like a hallway of just the walls lined up really high with scripts, like insane. So if you watch their video from the Vita Heaven series, you'll see they even show it in there, just a stack of scripts for these actors. It's crazy. So yeah, the fact that they're getting this full voice is very cool, especially considering I just cleared the first game, again, Trails in the Sky, Sora no Kiseki. So I'm going to try and clear the next two before this comes out, and then, you know, I'll be able to play it full voice for the first time, which is awesome. This game is coming out in August, so we have a release date for this one is August. Next up, they obviously showed more of Persona 4, which is a game we all know is coming. Maybe the biggest game, not maybe, yes, the biggest game on the direct horizon for the Vita right now. Persona 4. They showed a little bit more. We've already seen quite a bit on it. It's coming in just a few months, so it's in that pre-release rush here where they're showing a lot of media on it. It looks great. It looks great. Obviously, it's a port of the PS2 version, but it's not just a port. When you have, like, for example, Persona 3 Portable on the PSP, they added some things to that, but they obviously had to scale the game down quite a bit. Instead of walking kind of around the world, you ended up controlling just a little marker so that you could, like, move between classrooms, move between the town and, you know, different areas. This game has nothing that took a step back like that, thanks to the Vita being more powerful than a PS2, of course. So this game is a port plus a lot of things. They are adding a new character. This time it's not a second main character like it was in Persona 3 Portable, but it's a new girl character that you can establish social links with. They're doing a lot of new events. They have a winter event and a summer event that they're throwing in there. They're doing this thing with motorbikes now. You can get motorbikes, and there's like some mini games maybe with that, and you can also use them in battle for attacks and that sort of thing. So that sounds pretty interesting, but they're definitely adding a lot to it, so that will be very fun. That game is scheduled to come out June 14th. Okay, so June 14th for that one. And the other game that they kind of showed off, they had Hideo Kojima just do a little bit on Metal Gear Solid, the collection, which when I say collection, it sounds like 1, 2, 3 Peace Walker, right? No, this collection is just Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3, and they're coming out on the Vita. Okay, and these are scheduled for, I have it here somewhere, June 28th, so another June release. Yeah, I mean, you might be excited about this. I will probably pick it up because, to be honest, I played Metal Gear Solid 2 when it came out and haven't played it since then. I played Metal Gear Solid 3 when it came out and haven't played it since then. So it'll be nice to go through these games again in a portable environment. You know, I play a lot on the train, so that's why I end up springing for the portable versions. Obviously, collector or, you know, HD versions just came out of these games for the Xbox and the PS3. So those can probably be had. I don't know about cheaper, maybe cheaper, but they're out there. But I might pick this up just to play it through again on Vita. But yeah, I don't think there's anything too special going on here. It's just somewhat, you know, of an upport of Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3. So again, yeah, June 28th for that. So that was basically the program. for this PS Vita game heaven. So they announced Phantasy Star Online 2, hinted at Super Robot Wars, and Inafune, one of the creators of Mega Man, has an amazing game coming out for the PS Vita. So we will see what that is. They showed Game Arts announced 2 new games, and they showed off Zero no Kiseki, Persona 4, and Metal Gear Solid. Yeah, that was about it. There are a lot of other videos there that talk a little bit more about other games or downloadable content for games that are out there. But that was about it. One more game that they talked a little bit about that we still don't know much about is Surge Concerto. And this is coming from Gust, who make the Atelier series. Atelier. I'm just too used to the way they say it in Japanese. They're making a game called Surge Concerto for the Vita, which is coming out April 26th. It's kind of a strange game. As far as I know, what I've read up on it is that you're kind of overseeing this girl and her world, and you kind of interact with her and her world. And it's almost a Tamagotchi in that way, where you're I don't want to say raising her, but that's kind of what it is. It's kind of a girl raising game, I guess. I don't know. But the one thing I find interesting about this that a lot of people might not know, every store I go to where they're doing reservations for this game has a huge stamp on it. This is an online game. And I don't mean a game with online features. When they stamp it like that, it means you have to be connected to play this game. Very interesting. That might be off-putting for a lot of people, expecting something like Atelier or another game like that. I don't know, but yeah, this is another one that they showed a little bit on. It could be interesting if it's online only, and I've heard that maybe the game comes with the first chapter, and then after that, there's going to be more and more chapters that maybe you purchase. I don't really know too much about this game, to be honest. I've read just a little bit, but it seems like it has the Gust art style, the Gust look, and the world looks very interesting and beautiful. But again, it might just turn out to be this kind of like Princess Maker, or that kind of game where you're raising this girl and doing different things with that. So we'll see about that one. Before I move on to the next little bit here, I just want to recap the schedule here for Vita games in Japan. People are always asking what's coming out, what does this have? Not a bunch of great games. Of course, this is a very slow time of the year, but let me just read it off for you. March 15th, FIFA is coming out. It's obviously already out in the West, but it's coming out here. March 22nd, we have Little Busters Converted Edition, which was originally supposed to come out in February. Now it's March. This is a visual novel game from Key. It's not going to be a big seller. This game is actually already out on PSP. They just redid it on the Vita, obviously with the beautiful screen and some new mini games that utilize the Vita's features. New Little King Story from Konami is coming on March 29th. I'm excited for this. We'll have to see. Little King Story, obviously on Wii, was a great game that nobody played. This game is taking on a new art style, a bit of a new style, so we'll have to see. Hype for this one in Japan has been non-existent, basically. I haven't heard anything on it. I didn't even realize it was just coming out in a couple weeks, but I will definitely check it out. Rayman Origins is coming out here April 12th. Obviously another game that's already out in the West. The thing with this here, it's only going to be 2,500 yen, maybe about $30, which may sound normal, but 2,500 yen is pretty much less than half price here in Japan for a game, so pretty cool. You also have Lumines right around there in April. Again, a game that's obviously already out in the West. What I talked about, Surge Concerto, is coming out on April 26th, the Gust game. I don't think, I could be wrong, I don't think there's anything currently announced for May, although I'm sure there will be some games in there. And then you jump to June, which is actually, as I was making my list up here, was surprised to see that there are a lot of these games coming out in June for kind of the summer push. So you have Gundam Seed Battle Destiny on June 7th, the Gundam Battle game. Persona 4, June 14th. Monkey Ball, June 14th. Metal Gear Solid, June 28th. So yeah, June is looking pretty big for the Vita. That could be the biggest month yet since release, although maybe February. February was pretty big for it as well. So we'll see. June's looking pretty good. So yeah, but between now and then, March obviously has some games. We'll have to see what they get into April and May. I'm sure they'll get something worked in there. I think Resistance is coming out in May, but I don't know if that's for Japan as well. So we'll have to see. I'm sure that they'll get some stuff worked in there, and my list may not be complete. So yeah, 2 more things that kind of came up at the Vita Game Heaven during that, what they call the program. Two things that are Japan specific, but I figure I'll get them out there. One is that they're giving away 1,000 yen free on the PSN, the Japanese PSN. To get this, all you have to do is go on your Vita to the Japanese PSN, you hit campaigns, and then you download a little campaign ticket. Once you do that, it takes a day or two, but Sony will send you an email. You click on the email, you fill out a very short, easy survey where hopefully you tell the truth about some improvements that the Vita needs. We'll talk about that next. But yeah, they ask your opinion on certain things, and after that, you immediately, as soon as you finish it, you get a code for 10,000 yen. So yeah, I've done that. I did that on my wife's Vita, and I've downloaded the ticket on my Vita, but I'm still waiting for the email. My Vita was on a US account for a little bit as I was playing some PSP games, so that's why I didn't do it sooner. But yeah, it's cool to get a free 1,000 yen there. You know, it's not something that's going to sell Vitas, but it's really nice for them to do kind of a thank you campaign and give every owner 1,000 yen to use on the PSN. So the other thing is the UMD passport program, which we all thought was kind of a one and done, kind of dead thing here in Japan. It's not coming out anywhere in the rest of the world, to the bane of many. However, they finally announced that many of the bigger name publishers joined the UMD Passport program. What this program is for people who have PSP UMDs. You can put them in your PSP, kind of download a program, and then by using that, it'll check your UMD. Once you do that, you can download that game on the Vita, the download version on PSN, for a much cheaper price. So they did announce that Capcom has now joined, Konami has now joined, Square Enix has now joined, Falcom, Electronic Arts. So they finally got a bunch of these big companies. So Monster Hunter is on there. All of the Square Enix games that are on the PSN are on there. Obviously, many people still calling for Crisis Core and Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep to show up on the PSN. They never have. Crisis Core apparently never will, and we just don't really know why Birth by Sleep's not up there. It sounds like money in the bag for Square Enix, but yeah, I don't know. But yeah, so they did add some companies there. When the Vita launched and they announced the UMD Passport, it was like, well, this is kind of helpful, but most of the big names aren't on there, so we can't do it with many of our games. But now, yeah, they're on there. So if you own, for example, Type 0 on PSP, which is still a pretty expensive game, maybe $40 or $50, you can go ahead and put that in your PSP, register it, and download it on the Vita for something like 10 or 15 bucks and play it on your Vita, which is really cool. So a bunch of games like that. All right, moving right along to the last part of the program here today. This is a program, no. 5 improvements that I feel that the Vita needs. And again, these are improvements in the way that these are things that Sony can do, and most of them probably actually don't even require too much effort, although I'm just a video blogger, so I'm not a programmer, so I can say that very easily. But these are 5 improvements that I feel that Sony needs to implement and hopefully is looking at implementing into the Vita. Things that are kind of nagging or things that people have complained about or are hoping for that they can do to make us Vita owners happy. So let's go down the list. 5, and these are in no order. These are just here on a list. Number 1, when you turn the Vita off, and not turn the Vita off, but when you put it in sleep mode by pressing this button right here, it disables your network functions, which is ridiculous. If your Vita goes to sleep and you're on a network, it will kick you off of the network. That's just stupid. You should at least have, some kind of a 2 or 3 minute buffer. I realize that when it goes off like that, they don't want your battery to die with network running while your Vita is technically sleeping. But for example, if I'm playing a game of Wipeout online and somehow that button gets pressed or my Vita goes to sleep, bam, I'm kicked all the way out. It's done. It's gone. If I need to run and grab a drink, but I'm online playing some Wipeout, hanging in a lobby or something, and I leave my Vita there and it ends up going to sleep, I'm kicked out. It's stupid. It's very, very silly. I realize that there are these kind of battery conservation things, but it's just dumb. There needs to be somehow in there for us to stay online, especially with Phantasy Star Online 2 coming out. This will not last. They're going to have to fix that because, yeah, that's just crazy. Second improvement, which is right in line with that, is games need to stop turning off the network. It is very dumb. From day one, it is something that everyone has complained about. Why do some games, even Sony-made games, turn off the network? The only thing we can fathom is that it's another power-saving thing. Well, these games are using lots of power, so if we turn off the network, it'll at least save a little bit of power there. But we have awesome software in there like 8-way chat between any game, except for these games. We want to be able to use this software. It's crazy to make awesome cross-chat like that and then not allow us to use it in your games, Sony. That's just dumb. you know, the Vita has a pretty good battery. It has a pretty good battery. So if I had to dip a little bit worse than that to allow these features in the games, I'm fine with that. I was surprised the first time I was playing the Vita for a long time. You know, you can go 4, 5, even 6 hours depending on what you're doing with this thing. That's plenty long. You know, if the battery has to dip just a little bit to allow us to do these things, allow us to do these things, or at least give us the option. Maybe somewhere in the game's options, turn off network to save battery. It's not that hard. Maybe make that the default and allow us to turn it off, you know, for the naive people out there. I don't know, but this is just dumb. This should not be happening. It's very, very silly to make awesome software and then put something like this in. It just doesn't make sense. Okay, number 3 is a very simple one, but further PSP support and PS1 support. One of the big games that everyone wants to play on the Vita is Phantasy Star Portable 2, or in Japan, Phantasy Star Portable 2 Infinity. An awesome game. You can literally just crank hours into this. It's a PSP game that I'm still playing on my PSP just because it's that good. I want to play it on my Vita. I know people who have hundreds and hundreds of hours into this. I think I'm still in the low 100s, but this is a great game. Finally rekindles that old Phantasy Star Online feel. They got everything right with this, and we can't play it on our Vitas. We have to still carry our PSPs. That's just nuts. I realize that the game probably does something that makes it difficult to work on the Vita. However, I hope that Sony and or Sega, whoever needs to be behind this, is working on compatibility for that. Because this is another one that would even be probably a big seller on Vita to new people playing, because this is a great game. If this came out on Vita, I think a lot of people would play it just because this is the kind of game that they're looking for. And obviously all of that, the online as well as the ad hoc linking up with your friends, it all works on the Vita just like it would if you were playing on a PSP. So I know I would download this game on my Vita if it was up there, definitely. So I hope they get that up there. And PS1 support is obvious. We want this in there. We hoped it would be up by now. We kept hearing soon, and you know, the thing launched in December. It is now March. Yeah, soon would probably have been last month or so. We also heard in Europe when it launched soon, and that was just a month ago. So I hope that very soon, really soon, we do get this up. PS1 support would be great. Obviously, it's not like a deal breaker, but we know that they're working on it, so just get it out. It would be awesome to play, you know, Final Fantasy 7, 8, 9 on this thing. Tons of other awesome PS1 classics that are up there on that big screen. This would be the best portable PlayStation ever, basically. So very awesome. Looking forward to that. So get that PS1 support in there. 2 more. Number 1, we need folders in the OS. There's only so many pages that it allows you to have, and I don't know anyone who has that many things yet, but I do know a couple people who are pretty dang close thanks to their PSP game collection. You need to be able to put folders on here or give us some other way to keep our things organized, or give us more screens or whatever you're going to do. But yeah, we need more screens for our stuff. I'm not very close. I can't remember if it's a 9 screen max. I have about 5 screens full though. Obviously there are a lot of demos that I could delete if I had to, but I don't want to. I don't want to have to do that. So give us folders. You can even just make it like iOS does, where if you drag one icon onto another, it combines them into a folder. Something like that. I don't see the problem with that. Just a little bit more OS customization there for us to kind of make folders or make life easier, and so that we can actually, you know, have everything on our Vita without going up to max. And finally, another one that a lot of people have been complaining about, remote play needs to be made better. With the hardware that we have here now, the PS Vita, remote play should be better. People with hacked PSPs have been able to play, you know, Red Dead Redemption and different PS3 games on here. We want that. We want that feature. If I could play, you know, Dark Souls on my PS Vita somehow, thanks to remote play, I don't know, you know, just spitballing, but something like that would be amazing. So we do want remote play. We want it better. Now remote play obviously allows you to listen to music or look at pictures, watch videos that are on your PS3. It even lets you play PS1 games, but other than that, the PS3 support is horrible. It's lacking. Yeah, we want that. We want that support. We want full remote play support. So I hope Sony's working on that to at least make it better. You know, maybe they can't backdate all the old PS3 games, but somehow get it going in newer PS3 games. I don't know, but we want better remote play because it just has so much potential to be awesome, and it's just not utilized. I doubt many people are even using remote play on their Vitas now just because it doesn't do much for you. Like I said, you can watch videos, look at pictures, and listen to music. You could just put it all on your Vita anyway. So, you know, I know some people store a lot of that on their PS3s, but I'm just saying, you know, we want better remote play features. So yeah, those are my 5 most wanted improvements to the Vita. Make it so that the network doesn't turn off when you press the power button or the Vita goes to sleep. Stop games from turning off the network. That is just dumb. PSP and PS1 support, further PSP support, and full PS1 support. Folders in the OS, and remote play made better. How about you guys? What improvements do you want to see that Sony can obviously, maybe not easily do, but that they can do without a hardware revision? Yeah, let me know. Go ahead and post below. I'm interested to see what you guys think. What do you guys want to see on the Vita that Sony could, implement? Go ahead and let me know. So that's about it for today. Where are we at here? We are up to 35 minutes. Jeez. All right. Well, I hope you guys enjoy another long one here today. I had a lot to talk about, so happy I was able to get this up today. I'll be getting up the second part of my Ragnarok Let's Play within the next 48 hours, so take a look back for that, those of you who are watching the Let's Play on that. And I will have more gameplay videos for you. There are a bunch more games that I want to cover that I haven't covered yet, so I'll have gameplay videos up for those soon, so take a look back for those. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. I really appreciate it, and I will get at you later.